Imagine a single, arrogant chuckle costing a company $3.8 billion. That's not a movie plot, that's the true price of underestimating Marcus Ellington. A man who built an empire from the ground up, only to have his success questioned by a hotel clerk's sneer over a simple black card. When the laughter hit the polished marble of the Meridian Grand, it didn't just break the lobby's silence, it shattered one of the year's biggest corporate deals. Ever been dismissed because you didn't look the part? Stick with us, because the quiet dignity of a single man is about to rewrite the rules of respect and power. Marcus Ellington didn't need to flaunt his wealth to command attention, his mere presence was power enough. Stepping out of a tailored silver Maybach, his composure was that of a man who measured his words and his movements, a self-made titan of the logistics world. Inside the Meridian Grand, an establishment where money usually bought deference, the atmosphere shifted as he crossed the lobby. Eyes, both curious and calculating, followed him, subtly attempting to box him in. At the front desk stood Ethan Ross, early 30s, exuding a corporate polish. Marcus slid over his ID and the unmistakable matte American Express Centurion Card, the black card. Ethan froze, then let out a muffled laugh that cut through the air. Wow, haven't seen one of those outside a movie. You sure this is yours? The insinuation, thinly veiled and laced with doubt, was a familiar sting Marcus had felt in boardrooms, airports, and golf clubs his entire life, disbelief wearing a smile. The clerk's audacity, however, was not met with an outburst. Marcus, calm but firm, asked, "Is there a problem?" Ethan, flushing with a mix of embarrassment and arrogance, managed a dismissive shrug, implying that such a card usually belongs to executives, and you don't look like one. Marcus's fingers tightened on his luggage, but his face remained impassive. He waited exactly 3 quiet beats. Then, without a sound of anger or a flicker of rage, he pulled out his phone, made a single tap, and spoke the only words necessary: "It's done. Cancel everything." He pocketed the phone, turned, and his footsteps echoed across the marble floor as he walked back out into the California night. He didn't slam a door or curse, he simply removed his presence, and that absence began to move like a gathering storm. Meanwhile, a nervous buzz spread through the hotel lobby. Guests whispered, recognizing the man who had just left as the CEO of Orion Logistics. The manager, Claire Navarro, rushed to the desk, demanding answers. Ethan, attempting to cover his error, claimed the man was flashing a fake Centurion card. Claire, tapping her tablet, pulled up the name and froze: Platinum Guest Profile. CEO. Net worth over $1 billion. Her stomach plummeted. Marcus Ellington had just cancelled the entire, multi-billion-dollar Orion Helios merger. The hotel's projected revenue slice, nearly $30 million, was gone with one quiet phone call. Across the bay, Helios Systems executives, prepping for the morning signing ceremony of the $3.88 billion deal, were completely unaware the contract was already dead. Marcus's single call had triggered a catastrophic, silent domino effect: meetings cancelled, catering wiped clean, travel arrangements scrapped. By morning, the story was already leaking onto social media. An employee who witnessed the exchange posted, "A man tried to check in with a black card. They laughed. He cancelled $1 billion deal." Black card backlash began to trend. Marcus, in a quiet, temporary suite across the street, remained unfazed. When his COO, Daniel Price, mentioned that Helios was calling it a misunderstanding, Marcus responded with a small, bitter smile: "That's what they always call it when respect gets replaced with arrogance." Helios stock immediately slipped, eventually dipping nearly 10%. Their PR department scrambled with generic apologies, but the damage was done. As a civil rights attorney on cable news put it, Marcus hadn't overreacted, he simply reminded them that dignity isn't up for negotiation. Marcus Ellington's restraint wasn't learned in a boardroom, it was forged in a modest neighborhood outside Atlanta. His father, a small auto repair shop owner, gave him the compass he needed: "Son, you'll have to be twice as good for half the respect." Don't waste time being mad. Get better. This became his life's mantra. From being accused of plagiarizing a too advanced math project to being passed over for a scholarship for the city councilman's son, Marcus faced quiet humiliation repeatedly. He carried these lessons to Georgia Tech, building his company, Orion Logistics, on the principle of flawless execution. He learned that every doubt, every subtle slight, only refined his discipline. His success hadn't erased the struggle, it had sharpened his ability to discern genuine respect from performative politeness. The black card on his desk was not a status symbol, it was a mirror reflecting how little some perceptions had changed. He realized that while he had spent years proving his merit, perception doesn't yield to merit, it yields only to consequence. His silence at the Meridian Grand was not revenge, it was a strategic recalibration. The hotel clerk, Ethan Ross, was terminated. The manager, Claire, was left to face the corporate fallout, realizing the incident was not isolated but systemic. Marcus, meanwhile, ignored the frantic calls from journalists and investors. He had made his point without speaking a public word. In a rare appearance at a small community center, Marcus finally addressed the controversy, stating, "Power isn't about how loud you can shout. It's about what you choose to walk away from and what you refuse to compromise." He told the young audience, when people laugh at you, they're really testing how much of yourself you'll trade to make them comfortable. Never take that deal. Forbes later ran an op-ed calling his move a masterclass in silent leadership, arguing that his restraint redefined corporate power. Marcus, reading the analysis, understood his core motivation. They'll call it leadership, but it was just self-respect. Marcus Ellington didn't set out to become a symbol. He simply refused to let a room try to shrink him. He walked away from that hotel lobby, leaving behind a deal but delivering a lesson. The power of walking away isn't in what you lose, it's in what you refuse to tolerate. Sometimes the loudest power move isn't to speak, it's to stop explaining. That was the story of Marcus Ellington, a true showdown against prejudice and a masterclass in poetic justice. Drop a comment below and let us know where in the world you're watching from. And if you believe that dignity is non-negotiable, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to make sure you don't miss the next story of Underdog comebacks.